Okay, so I'm a 20M and my mom is a 39 Fahrenheit, and all of our family is from Puerto Rico. But unfortunately, I have more issues with her and so does my family. My family, who is part of my mom, are both 69 Fahrenheit and 69M. My oldest uncle is 47M, my second oldest is 42M, and my youngest uncle is 31M. And then my other family, which my dad is 41M, but as for my other family members, I am not so sure. So when I was in 6th grade, I was 11 at the time, I finally finished up classes, and life was good. Eventually, some of the people from my elementary school wanted to host a graduation party for all of the 6th graders. My best friend, my other friends, and some good classmates were there. Seeing as my family from part of my mom, we were somewhat broke, and we couldn't pay the money. I got $100 as the actual bill was over $200 and my mom was only willing to give me $100. A few days later, I get called by my grandparents, from part of Dad, so I can get picked up to stay with them, and you know, it was obviously pretty perfect. My grandparents had to go to many places like Burlington, Walmart, etc. because they told me they were paying for my graduation party's bill, which I was a bit confused about, but I went on with it. I got this nice black suit and matching pants, and a tie, which I looked pretty cool. I also got a haircut so I can keep myself to be fresh at all times. For the party, we had to get 3 adults. Since my dad was working full-time in a restaurant in San Juan, he couldn't get invited. We had my grandparents as 2 adults. Then there came my stepmom. She was really nice and cool, and you know, she was invited into the grad party. Once I got awarded my diploma and medal, we all had a photo shoot, and the pictures got posted to my stepmom's Facebook, which my own mother saw, and well, she had a fit and a fuss about it. A few days later, I decided to go back home, and well, everyone, including my grandmother in the house, was so nice to me about it. At 2 a.m., however, my mom decided to come into my room, asking for my phone as she wanted to use it to call a friend, and she asked me to log into my Facebook account. I logged into my Facebook account, and off she went with the phone. When I got my phone back, I noticed that I didn't see my other family's posts. Weird. Thought that my Facebook was glitching out. It was until I found out that a few weeks later, my grandmother called me on my phone, saying that I have blocked them. As it turns out, my mother blocked them off my Facebook account so I wouldn't have any contact with them ever again. But as always, she failed. A few months later after the graduation, it was December 30th, and you know, I called my dad so I can go to his house and celebrate New Year's with them. Instead, my psycho mother decided to call the cops on him, and he pretty much got a restraining order that he cannot come near the house. I was pretty much pissed. At some time, my grandparents called her, and she was saying that if they want to see me again, they have to pay $1,000, which is pretty much blackmail to them and ransom. I never got to know about it until 2019. I was pretty much stuck on my grandmother's house thanks to my mother. Fast forward to 2015, she also decided to have a new guy. Of course, like with everyone she dates, whenever someone does something bad that's small or fails, she begins yelling at them, pretty much belittling them. On Thanksgiving of that year, my former stepfather decided to take some pictures with his sister, you know, a blood relative, because he wanted to spend some time with his family. Since my mom and his sister don't like each other, she went on and harmed said stepfather by hitting them and slashing him with a knife on his back. My mother went out of control, and I took pictures of it as evidence that she was crazy. When my uncle found out that I had pictures saved, he told me I had to delete them off my phone, which was crazy because that was pure evidence of abuse. Sadly, I was forced to delete them. It was also the time when I also got my first trip to Florida. She claimed that I wasn't allowed to go out of the country because of my dad. However, that was a fabricated lie as my dad would let me go out if I wished to do so in the future. In 2019, when I had a major bad time because of a breakup, my mother would always try to ruin my life like always. She sent me to a mental clinic hospital to spite me. Proceed to move my whole setup to the living room so whenever she comes, she sees exactly what I'm doing. I wasn't having any of that, so I decided to have a small monitor and rotate the computer so she doesn't have to see what I'm doing. One morning, she went full ballistic because she wanted me to do a logo for her, and since she wasn't awake so I get the full details, I didn't do it for her. She destroyed my monitor, and I ran away to school. Supposedly, she called the cops on me, claiming I was a criminal and ran away from home to do psycho stuff. I went to school to complain about it, and of course, to study. When I came back, I had to set up my stuff again on the main living room TV. My grandmother, of course, hated that idea but I had no choice. She was being ballistic. One day, she went angry out of a sudden and decided to take away my PC when I was trying to do my history homework as I had a low grade and I wanted to increase it. That was a problem. Thankfully, she didn't take away my ISP's router and throw it into the river. Oh wait, she did. I was watching Family Guy clips to keep myself from being bored, and there she came when my aunt and cousin were over, ripped apart the ISP router from the wall with my cable also attached, and threw it down the river. I was very livid. I went up to complain, and she immediately pushed me to the wall, beating me up. I was left sad after that because I couldn't get entertained, I couldn't get the boredom out, and I couldn't even have fun. I set up a Wii I had so I would play games again, like Mario Kart and Modern Warfare 3. I also set up a hidden router so she doesn't see it. A few days later, my grandfather fetched out the router on April 1st, and well, I was very disappointed. A few hours later, my mother barged out of nowhere and proceeded to lie to my ISP, saying that the router caught water damage from the house. When we got the new router, there was a rule. She always had to get the Wi-Fi password no matter what, and pretty much, the service had to be on her email, which was already bad to begin with. She also forced me to go to university by making my summer a whole living hell to the point that I wished I could genuinely take an actual break away from the house. After that, I got into university, and it was already going on the way down. One day, I missed the bus and I called my grandmother to tell my uncle to come to pick me up. But of course, my mother caught wind of it and decided to leave me until 7 p.m. on purpose to make sure that I always call her if I missed the bus. Which, by the way, no way was I going to do that. And I was 17 at the time. That would make that she was endangering her own son's life on purpose for her own benefit. When my grandmother got hit by a car, I didn't know about it until I arrived home. The people who came to the hospital were me and my uncle. I came walking fast after I got home, and my uncle came in second after he was just on a truck doing his job, and got home immediately and got his car. The last person who came to the hospital was, of course, my mother. And irresponsible like always, when we were about to get out, she didn't want any part of transporting my grandmother back home. So it was up to me and my uncle to get her home. A few months later in 2020, everything still was hell, but it was a little more decent. Sadly, I couldn't attend university classes because of C-19, and since I had little to no experience in virtual classes, so I spent my time taking care of my grandmother. In the summer of said year, I was 18. So yay, and the president decided to issue stimulus checks. The first check was $1.20, which was fine. But I had to go with my mother as always, she knew about it. She wanted $600 off my check, which okay, it was no problem as she claimed it was for her root canal. As I had a brain of thought 2 weeks later, which I was in another city with my second oldest uncle, I remembered that back in 2018, she complained to me that I stole $400 off her card, which I didn't as I checked the logs, and she bought beauty products. I was pissed that she stole from me not only money from my stimulus check, but because she held a grudge about those $400 that I didn't even take. Immediately after that, I went to get a bank account, and that is where I would have money from now on. In November of the same year, my grandmother decided to take surgery for the injury that she had in 2019 to replace her leg's bone. At the time, I had a different stepfather, and all I could hear from that night was argument after argument. I was with my little brother playing a video game, I got fed up and went upstairs to yell at them to shut up, and she decided to pull out a knife on me that she would kill me. When I went downstairs, she called my youngest uncle to tell them that I had a weapon and I was gonna kill her. She lied in front of them when I haven't even had a weapon. Now, this is where the turning point would start and I would think that my life will go well. In December of 2020, I got a paycheck from my university and I received $850, which was not bad. I went to the bank afterward. Then, my young uncle was talking to me about a Mitsubishi Eclipse which was being sold for $500. I was so happy because I had the money to finally buy a car. I bought the car, and my uncle took the car home with me in the passenger seat, and his buddy in his car. A few days later on New Year's Eve, my uncle decided to do a burnout on my car and broke the transmission. The car would not be running for months. In April 2021, I got the third stimulus check for $1,400. Now, I was going to use some of the money to get the transmission and ship it down to my country all the way from Florida, and then also get registration and tags. Of course, guess who knew about it despite I never told anyone? My mother. And of course, she got very greedy like always. She said that I should give her $400 or she will call the cops on me for not cooperating, and for being a criminal, despite I got that money legit. Sadly, I was forced to give her $400 after she faked a call to the police. Sadly, I had no money to ship the transmission out. I bought the transmission, hoping that my young uncle, who recently went back to Florida, would ship it to me after I told him. After my mom pretty much manipulated him, he refused and decided to cut all contact with me. I was disappointed because this was not supposed to be the way it was supposed to go. So I went in May, no transmission. And then June arrived, I got an injury that I basically tore my ligament and would take a 30-minute 60-day recovery. My mother was threatening me that I have to get rid of the car, or else she would get rid of it herself. Sure enough, I thought she was faking it after I knew of her lies. But of course, it was true. On June 26th, I got woken up by yelling from my mother as she was yelling at my grandmother and grandfather about the car, and how I shouldn't be owning a car, and how the car should never be a manual, and how everyone should tell her everything that happens next. I got very angry and decided to stand up for myself. I grabbed my phone and decided to call the cops, and then as soon as I was dialing, she decided to grab my wrist. I was able to dodge her, but she left me a scratch which shows I was bleeding. I packed all of my things into the car and decided to go. However, she would have her own fun by destroying my life and reporting it to the police, sending me to the mental hospital for the 4th time. After I was gone, she decided to call her friend who had a tow truck and have my car towed away. A car that I paid good money for and bought all the parts to fix it. Now gone. I was devastated when I heard about it. When I got out, I decided to go to my aunt's house and print all of the bank statements I had, which include bills for the parts, car, and the stimulus check money she took away from me. Sadly, I thought my car was gone for good until I saw it on a Facebook listing that had not only my car but also an Acura Integra trunk that I was also selling. Pretty much, this guy took my car and the trunk that I was selling. After back and forth arguments, my mother would threaten to put me in jail. I had to give up on the car. That car was never seen again. That was the final straw that broke the camel's back. My car got stolen, my life got robbed out of me, and pretty much, I was depressed. And I still am to this day, as I never got to drive the car, and I never got to do anything with it. I've tried to get people to help me out with funding so I can move out properly and have another car, but it's difficult just reaching out. And I just couldn't handle it anymore. This is something that makes me cry every day ever since my recent relationship. My ex-girlfriend's ex-boyfriend was creeping on her, and she had no choice but to break up with me. So I have no car, no girl, and all I have is an abusive and greedy mother that doesn't care about anything but herself. Oh, and if I do have money for a car, chances are that she wants the car to be for herself, only automatic, and only whatever she wants. This is something I'm not comfortable with, because I recently received my student loan in March, but I got half of it in May. So I barely have any money now to get another car that I want and to move out. To top it off, I'm still in university as I was forced to subscribe back in. With no car, I can't even study. And I hate taking virtual classes, as it's a pain in the butt to be clear with the professors, as she rarely let me go on her car. Trust me. So, currently, I am 21 now. A lot of things has changed since the last time I wrote that post. My grandmother has gotten dizzy by overheating. So, some people know how my mother has been very abusive towards everybody. She even went to my own Facebook account to delete, block my family and add herself into it when I was young, because she was pissed off about a graduation that essentially, she wasn't allowed to be in. Fast forward to today, and obviously, things have escalated a bit further. My grandfather passed away due to stage 4 cancer. But, he left me, 2 other uncles and my dad some inheritance. One got a Jeep, one got a Camaro, one got his farm, and I got an XL7. That's what he said to my grandmother before he passed away. In Puerto Rico, after you hit the age of 21, you are now legally classified as an adult, which means I cannot call CPS. But unfortunately, this also presents another problem. ASUME, a Child Support Services office, won't clear the debt that my dad has to pay. Okay, so, that's fine. I was told at my birthday, I will get the XL7 and my money. I never got it. My entitled mother was pissed, but of course, I wasn't. I understood the situation, as my grandmother was on vacation, and my dad cannot manage anything legally due to him having legal problems with ASUME. So, I got a letter from ASUME, meaning that my mother cannot handle the cases that I'm now of age, I can handle the case myself. Joy, because this is exactly what I needed to hear since I was 18. Unfortunately, entitled mother has other plans in case if I don't do anything. My grandmother and dad explained to me that I have to go to ASUME to clear things up and to let them get me a new card, or let the money be wired to my bank account. In April, I borrowed a car, went to my local university, got out of class, went with my dad to ASUME in K, and unfortunately, all the cases of that had to be handled in Caguas. Okay, so, let's go to Caguas. Oh wait, I can't go, because my entitled mother refuses to lend me the car to go to Caguas. That's fine, because I can go with my dad. Oh wait, he forgot and now won't do anything. So, here I am, with no child support money and the XL7 I was promised. Oh wait, but what does my entitled mother do? Instead of being respectful like any other human being, she decided to go to the same route that she did towards my 2 grandparents in 2012, right when my grandfather was diagnosed with cancer. She decides to blackmail, threaten me, that if I don't get an answer from my grandmother or my dad, she'll go to some judge or whatever that's handling my case, and then make me legally incapacitated. The problem is that she has been too greedy, as her plans consist of her leaving me her car and taking mine, so when her car breaks down, I have to pay for all the stuff. To top it off, she claims she'll lend me her car to go to therapy, and she never did, and then gets angry because I never went to therapy. And she's been wanting my $10K of owed child support money to fund her own food truck business, when I was going to use said money to move out to the US and get a job. And apparently, according to her, I have exactly 3 days to get my money and the vehicle, or else I'm apparently going to be incapacitated. This is utterly depressing. I even tried getting help from crowdfunding, but unfortunately, I can't seem to do that because GoFundMe refuses to put the money on my own account because they don't like Puerto Rico. To top it off, I'm taking care of my grandparents, and they're also pinning the blame on me for not calling them despite that she's being greedy enough to where she's forcing me to get all my stuff now, or be a slave. She claims she wants to see me succeed, she wants me to do better, and she wants me to be successful. But all I see is that she wants me to be her slave, she wants me to do everything by her bidding, and she wants me to fail. There's a reason why I have plans on moving out. I can't handle people like her. I can't even talk to a therapist, because they all disclose the information to her, regardless of age, when she's not allowed to. I can't even go to therapy. She won't let me go. She expects my therapist to call me when the office said that I have to be there. She's an entitled and a greedy son of a BTCH. But she is also a freaking criminal. And the fact that the Puerto Rican police refuses to do a case investigating her for possible domestic abuse. It's dumb.